Morning, everyone. My name is Reynolds Mugusha. Currently, and my cell phone number, if you want to contact me, it's 084-855-8155 as well. So I'll be the tutor offering Fin4802 with RM Institute. So we're a private institution that offers tutorial classes for students with different institutions as well. So before we go on in detail regarding what you want to, what I need to cover for Fin4802 as well, we've been having load shedding from 8 o'clock, and it should be running until 10:30 today. But since then, we have not been reconnected as well. I don't know what's happening there as well. So my power system is able to run for 4 hours independently. So I'm hoping that before we get to 12 o'clock, we should have been reconnected as well from the main grid as well. So the main agenda of the class today is that I want to go through with you what to expect when it comes to Fin4802. The guidelines regarding the assignments, what to expect regarding the assignments, how we're going to be able to go through the module as well until you write your exams in Jan-Feb next year as well. So when it comes to Fin4802, you see that your curriculum is made up of 19 study units. So your curriculum is made up of 19 study units. And these 19 study units are also divided into 5 topics as well that needs to be covered. So you see that of these 19 study units, take note that 16 are going to be chapters from the textbook. And then there's going to be 3 which are additional readings, which are basically provided. It's basically PDF documents that they are also provided to you as well, so that you're able to use those PDF documents for the study units that are going to be covered. And I'll also highlight those study units as well. Then between now until end of October this year, that's when we should be done and have covered the different study units. So the 19 study units, we need to make sure that we cover them between now until end of October, so that for the month of November, December, January, until you write in February, we're concentrating purely on revision material. Then what you need to take note as well is that there is going to be 2 assignments that are specifically meant for Fin4802. So there's 2 assignments. I'm just waiting to get the assignment dates so that I also update the days that are going to be meeting as well to go through the 2 assignments as well. Because for Fin4802, there are 2 assignments that you need to go through. One assignment is usually due sometime in May, somewhere there. And then the second assignment is due sometime in August, usually. That's what they usually do as well. So which basically means that 3 weeks or 4 weeks before the assignment due date, we need to go through the first assignment. So which means that also expect that on our schedule that I'm going to be sharing with you as well, but I'm going to go through it in detail as well. Sometime in April, or usually towards the end of April, we're going to go through and have a class, an online class, where we go through assignment 1. Then sometime in June, July, somewhere there as well, we're going to go through and schedule another class as well, where we are going to be going through assignment 2. So usually when it comes to the assignments as well for Fin4802, we'll make sure that at least 3 weeks or 4 weeks before the due date of the assignments, we schedule a class, an online class, where we go through the assignment with you. But before we have the online class as well, so after the online class, immediately after the online class, that's when I'm going to share the memo with the Word document with the memo for the assignment, so that you're able to now see how we went through the assignment as well. Then you need now work on the assignment and then customize your answers. So, but when it comes to the assignments, I'll discuss them with you in detail when we go to the assignments as well. So expect that there are going to be 2 assignments, and we're going to schedule specific classes where we're going to be going through nothing but those assignments as well together in class. So for Fin4802, remember I said that between now until end of October, that's when we're going to be going through the 19 study units. So you will see that when it comes to the first 9 study units, when it comes to the first about 9, the first about 10 study units as well. So what we're going to do is that between now until sometime end of June, or somewhere end of June, somewhere there, we are going to be scheduling a class sometime end of June. When we go through this particular class, we are going to be, so what I'm going to do is that after this class, I'll give you access to the study units. You go over the videos going to these study units as well. Then sometime end of June, I'm going to announce the dates. Once I know the assignment dates, then I'll also put in place and announce the dates that are going to be meeting to review the study units as well. So sometime end of June or early July, somewhere there, we are going to be having a class from 8 to 12. I'll also go through the schedule with you as well. About 4 or 5 hour class, and during that class, we're going to be reviewing the first 10 study units of the curriculum. Then after that, we go through the remaining nine study units of the curriculum as well, which is what we're going to be doing sometime in October, where we're going to be reviewing the last 9 study units of the curriculum as well. So you'll see that for topic 1 looks at international finance environment. So it's basically introducing you to international finance. So if you look at it as well, Fin4802 goes hand in hand with Fin4801, and the assumption is that you are building up from things that you've studied when you're doing your undergrad. So you'll see that in most cases, if you're doing Fin4801, you'll find it easier to go through Fin4802 as well. Reason being, remember Fin4801, you're reviewing things that you've done in your undergrad, which forms the foundation for the things that you're going to be doing in postgrad as well. So with international finance, when you're doing your undergrad, mostly you were concentrating, if you look at the UNISA curriculum, you were concentrating on a domestic firm. So you're looking at analyzing a domestic firm, where you are analyzing valuation of a domestic firm, or the workings, the ins and outs of the workings of a domestic firm. But now, when you look at Fin4802, we are now acknowledging that we are living in a global economy where a firm does not necessarily only have to have operations domestically. It can also have operations internationally as well. And even if a firm has domestic operations, we also know that the operations of international firms can now have a bearing on the workings of a domestic firm as well. Like, for example, a firm can have operations domestically, but when it comes to goods, they can be importing goods internationally. Like, for example, they can be importing goods, or they can be importing inputs, or they can be importing equipment and machinery as well from international suppliers. So because of that, it basically means that this gives rise to the need of the financial manager to know exactly international finance, so that you're able to know exactly how does our firm, even if it's a domestic firm, or if it's a firm with international operations where they can do imports and exports, or they can basically be able to have subsidiaries as well, internationally as well. How do we now manage such a firm with such that is operating within the global economy as well? So you see that study unit 1 is basically coming from chapter 1 of the textbook, which gives you the overview of a multinational financial management, to see exactly how does it work, what do you need to take into account. Then it also gives you, study unit 2 gives you the international flow of funds, to say if it's an international fund, if it's international firm in this case, how do the funds flow? So you see that for Fin4802, under normal circumstances, unless otherwise stated, you are mostly looking at it from a multinational firm. So a multinational firm is basically a firm with operations in more than one country. So a firm with operations in more than one country, we refer to it as what? Multinational firm. So which means that if it's a multinational firm or multinational company, we need to find out. So study unit 2, we need to find out exactly. So what are the different cash flows or different sources of cash, and where do these multinational companies as well spend their cash or move when it comes to what? The movements of cash within and out of the company as well. Then study unit 3 looks at international financial markets, and study unit 4 looks at exchange rate determination. Reason being, once you understand the international financial markets, where you're now looking at the sourcing of funding and where a company can be able to invest its money, and at the same time where a company can be in a position where it's able to borrow money from what are the different sources of financing when it comes to international financing as well, international financial markets. The other thing that you need to look at there is the exchange determination, because the moment a company is going to be having interactions across the border, automatically what we know with certainty is what the exchange rate is today. But what we don't know with certainty is what the exchange rate is going to be the next day, after 6 months, after 1 week, after 3 years, after 10 years. So because with international finance as well, we are trying to also make financing decisions going into the future. It basically means that one of the very important factors that we filter in is the effects of what? Exchange rates. So because we don't know with certainty what the exchange rate is going to be going into the future as well, it basically means that it's going to be having a very big bearing on the operations of the multinational company as well. Mainly because, for example, if you look at multinational capital budgeting, one of the factors that you have to take into account is the effect of exchange rate, because if we are going to be very much off on the tangent or off the tangent when it comes to our estimation of the exchange rate, it would basically mean that we might end up accepting a project that we should be rejecting, or we might end up rejecting a project that we should be accepting purely because of movements in exchange rate. Because remember, going to the future, the exchange rate can either move in a way that is favorable to us, or it can also move in a way that is what? Unfavorable to us, depending on whether we're exporting or importing goods as well. Then, since there's a lot of uncertainty regarding the movements in exchange rate, that's why we now look at study unit 5, which looks at currency derivatives, to say, since there's a lot of uncertainty regarding the estimation of the movements of the exchange rate going to the future, what instruments are available today as a financial manager of a multinational corporation that they can utilize to try to have more certainty regarding the exchange rate? So to fix the exchange rate, this is where they can consider utilizing what? Different derivative instruments that can be utilized to fix the exchange rate. Like, for example, they can go into a forward contract, they can go into a futures contract, they can go into an option contract as well. So we're going to be looking at these different currency derivatives that the organization also look at and how they end up affecting the organization as well. Then, so this is basically the first 5 study units which are covered under the international finance environment. Try to understand the international finance environment. I see that someone is complaining regarding the network. Remember, there's load shedding these days, so please check the load shedding schedule in your area as well. Because usually, if your connection is bad, it also means that you're going to be struggling with your network as well. You're going to struggle with hearing the audio. That when I'm giving the class, you might also struggle when it comes to having the visual effects as well. Sometimes when the bandwidth is slow, or when the bandwidth is not big enough as well, because of bad network connection, you might find that the screen becomes smaller as well. So expect that it also happens, especially during this period where we're having load shedding problems as well. So please bear that in mind when we are going through the classes. So make sure that you have a good network connection where you are seated. So remember what I told you as well, just now as well. Even on my side, we were supposed to be reconnected our electricity in our area at 10:30 because we had load shedding scheduled from 8 to 10:30. But until now, we have not been reconnected as well. So I will try as much as possible to compress and cover as much information that you need so that you're able to prepare. I'm able to prepare you to go through the material that you need to go through as well. If not, then if the worst comes to the worst and we're still not connected as well, and my batteries are running out when it comes to my additional power sources as well, I'll make a plan or indicate another schedule that we can also meet and go through that session as well. So remember, I've already given you a guideline on what to expect when it comes to topic 1. Now moving on to topic 2. Topic 2 looks at exchange rate behavior. And when you look at exchange rate behavior, remember we said that one of the very important factors that affect the operations of multinational company is the movement in exchange rate. Because of that, it basically means that this is the additional risk factor that distinguishes between a purely domestic firm and an multinational corporation, in that the multinational corporation, over and above the risks that are faced by the purely domestic firm, they also have to take into account the effects of what? Exchange rate as well, which is basically another risk factor that they need to account for. So when you look at exchange rate behavior, study unit 6 looks at exchange rate history and the role of government. So here, when it comes to the first part, which looks at exchange rate history, don't worry much about it. Even when you go through the video with us as well, you will see that that section, we don't really expect questions, because remember, this is a financial management class, it's not a history class. And because of this, for interest's sake, you can go through the exchange rate history section, but don't worry or spend too much of your time there. What you're going to be worrying more about is the role of governments when it comes to movements in exchange rate, and exactly how government policies can also end up affecting the movements in exchange rate as well, so that they were able to. So the reason why we are looking at exchange rate behavior under topic 2 is mainly because we are acknowledging that going into the future, we are trying to estimate the movements in exchange rate. So to estimate the movements in exchange rate, we're now going in detail to say, so how do we now look at the behavior of exchange rate, so that we're able to analyze this behavior of exchange rate and use it now to estimate the movements in exchange rate going into the future as well. Then start unit 7 looks at international arbitrage and interest rate parity. And these are some of the theorems that can also be used to estimate exchange rates. So the international arbitrage theory and the interest rate parity theory as well, they are also theories that are also used in estimating the movement of exchange rate going to the future. So we're going to be looking at them in start unit 7. Then start unit 8, we look at the relationship among inflation, interest rate, and exchange rate. So we're basically saying that when you look at the inflation parity, when you look at the effects of inflation, we're basically saying that we have we can also estimate the movement in exchange rate by looking at the inflation relationship between two currencies, which means generally the currency with a higher inflation rate is expected to weaken against the other currency. That's how it is generally. So the currency with the higher inflation rate, or the higher change in inflation rate, is the one that is expected to experience a devaluation of their currency against the other currency as well. But we also acknowledge that inflation on its own is not the only factor that can also affect movements in exchange rates. So there's also the effects of interest rates as well. So we can also estimate interest using to estimate exchange rate. So the theorem that estimate the movements in exchange rate using inflation, we call it the purchasing power parity, and we're going to be discussing it here, and it's also linked to study unit 7. Then the theory that tries to estimate the movements in exchange rate using interest rates, we call it the interest rate parity as well. So we're also going to look at it in detail and see exactly how we can use these theorems as well to estimate the movements in exchange rate. So you will see that study unit 7 and study unit 8, they are very much linked to each other. So remember, the main idea behind topic 2 is that we're trying to estimate we're trying to analyze the behavior of exchange rates so that we're able to estimate the movements in exchange rate going to the future as well. Topic 3 looks at managing exposure to exchange rate risk. So topic 3 looks at managing exposure to exchange rate risk. And under this as well, we're basically saying that, so how do you as an organization, now we have acknowledged that the movement in exchange rate has a very big bearing on the operations of the multinational company. So how do you as a financial manager now manage the exposure of your organization to what? Exchange rate risk. Because we now acknowledge that what one of the risk factors that affects your operations of your organization is basically movements in exchange rate. So study unit 9 looks at forecasting exchange rates, which is, so you see that study unit 9 is basically formulated by our analysis of what we have done in study unit 7 and 8. So study unit 7 and 8 basically forms the foundation of what we're going to be covering in study unit 9. So it's very much linked to study unit 9. Then we have study unit 10, which looks at measuring exposure to exchange rate fluctuations. So it looks at measuring the exposure to exchange rate fluctuations. Now, when you look at measuring your exposure to exchange rate fluctuations, study unit 10 is more like an overview of what you're going to be looking at in study unit 11 and 12. So study unit 10 is an overview which introduces you the method or the theorems that are going to be the different methods that are basically used to measure your exposure to what? Exchange rate risk. So which means if you look at study unit 11, it says managing transaction exposure. So that's one exposure that is also introduced in study unit 10 as well. So study unit 10, it introduces us to transaction exposure, economic exposure, and translation exposure. So that's basically what study unit 10 introduces you. Then study unit 11 now goes into a more in-depth analysis of transaction exposure. Then study unit 12 goes into a more in-depth analysis of the other two, economic exposure and translation exposure. But remember, these study unit 11 and 12, they are basically introduced to us in study unit 10. So study unit 10 looks at an overview. Then from there, we now specialize and look at these different exposures in detail. Then from there, we have topic 4, and topic 4 looks at long-term assets and liability management. So it looks at long-term assets and liability management. So under this, we have study unit 13, which looks at multinational capital budgeting. So now we're looking at running the operations of the multinational company in the long term. So in the long term, it basically means that we have to look at multinational capital budgeting to say, if we are going to be pursuing projects across the border as well, how do we assess the viability of these projects as well? So which basically means that when you look at multinational capital budgeting, we are still going back to those concepts of capital budgeting where we look at the net present value method, where we look at the internal rate of return method as well. But now we're no longer just looking at it. Remember, when you're doing it at undergrad level, you were looking at it from a purely domestic firm. But now we have to look at capital budgeting from a multinational perspective. And from a multinational perspective, what do you have to take into account? Now we are taking into account the movements in exchange rates to say, how do we account for the movements in exchange rates so that we're able to now use those capital budget techniques to make that accept or reject decision. And now to account for this multinational capital budgeting as well, it basically means that we're not going to say, given our estimation of exactly what's going to be happening with the exchange rate as well, how do we restructure our multinational operations? Like, for example, how do we now say, given our estimation of the movements in exchange rates, should we continue operations in a certain within a certain subsidiary that were, like, for example, if it's company, let's say, for example, you look at MTN, it's got operations in Botswana, it's got operations in Iran, it's got operations, for example, in Nigeria as well, right? So which basically means that from a multinational restructuring perspective, they're basically saying that, so given our estimation of the movement in exchange rates, when it comes to our operations in Botswana, our operations in Nigeria, our operations in Iran, for example as well, how should we increase our operations, or should we contract our operations given our estimations what in exchange rates? That's why if you look at it from a practical perspective as well, you look at the case of Barclays, where, remember, they invested in South Africa around 2005, 2006. And then over time, because of the movements in exchange rate where the rand was weakening, that's when they realized that what probably they were seeing that from a capital budgeting perspective, it's no longer viable for us to continue operating in South Africa because we're not making that much returns because the rand is depreciating over time. So what did they do? They pulled back their investments from South Africa, and then they invested their money somewhere else. So it's part of what? Multinational restructuring. Then another part of perspective of multinational restructuring is where you look at, for example, a company that is basically considered a way to borrow, where they're now going to say, given our estimation of the movement in exchange rate as well, and given our interest rate domestically, if you borrow domestically, or given the interest rate if you borrow from international sources, what is better for us? Effectively, is our effective interest rate lower if you borrow domestically, or is our effective interest rate lower if we borrow from international sources? So you're going to be making those decisions as well as part of what multinational restructuring, to say, so given our estimation of the movements in exchange rate as well, should we continue borrowing from this source, or should we pay back that loan and borrow somewhere else? Then from there as well, we look at country risk analysis. So with country risk analysis, this is also another acknowledgement of, say, over and above the movement in exchange rate. Another analysis that we also need to do when we're considering investments internationally, like, for example, opening a subsidiary in another country as well, we have to do a country risk analysis to say, so given the country risk as well that we have assessed on this particular country, is it going to be viable for us to consider what investing in this particular country? Because remember, the country risk basically increases your risk premium. Because remember we say, for example, when you look at your interest rate, your nominal rate of interest is given as your real rate of interest plus inflation premium plus risk premium. So based on this as well, it basically means that your interest rate that you're going to be looking at, or your expected rate of return as well, is basically based on this, where we say this is basically your risk rate of return. And then there's also going to be the risk premium that you have to take into account, which also means that when you're looking at assessing different projects as well, one of the risk premium that you have to take into account would be country risk premium. So one of the risk premiums that you have to take into account is the country risk premium. The higher the risk of investing in that particular country, the higher the discount rate, which is also going to be, it can also be translated into an expected return, where if the risk is higher for investors, they want a higher expected return as well, which means that the discount rate becomes higher in that case as well. So those are some of the factors that you take into account in assessing the viability of a project. Which means in that case, to assess the viability of a project as well, we have to take into account country risk analysis to say, how is the country risk analysis going to end up affecting our risk premium as well? Because the higher the risk of a particular country, the higher the risk premium as well, which basically means that the discount rate that we're going to be using in assessing this particular project is also going to be higher as well. Then there's also multinational cost of capital and capital structure. And in this case, we are going back to acknowledging that, yes, when we are assessing different investments as well, there is going to be, we need to take into account the effect of exchange rate as well. So if I take into account the effect of exchange rate, it basically means that when you look at multinational cost of capital, it basically means that the cost of capital, if you're assessing projects internationally, is going to be different from a cost of capital if you're going to be looking at it from a purely domestic firm. So because of this, in this chapter, we're not going to take into account to say, so how do you adjust for the different risk premiums as well, given that you're going to be assessing projects with an international exposure as well. So that's basically what we're going to be covering in study unit 16. Then study unit 17 looks at long-term financing to say, so what are the different sources of capital that are available if you're looking at what long-term financing? Are we going to be, so when you look at long-term financing there, they are going back to the accounting equation where you say, well, from the accounting equation, your assets is equal to equity plus liabilities. So from a long-term financing perspective, from equity, you are considering investing through ordinary share capital, which means that your source of financing would be ordinary share capital. And then from a liability side, you can also consider having a long-term loan as a long-term source of capital, or you can consider having long-term bonds. So now we are assessing the viability of these long-term sources of capital as well, so that we're able to now check to see exactly, given the different sources of long-term source of capital as well, how is the viability of us utilizing these different sources of long-term source of capital as well. So which basically means that in that case, you're not going to say, since you're looking at it from a long-term source of long-term capital from a perspective as well, are we going to finance, for example, our subsidiary that are looking to operate or open in a foreign country as well? Should we finance it through ordinary share capital where the parent company's investors are contributing? Or should we consider getting either a long-term loan or a long-term bonds? And even when we're considering these long-term loans or long-term bonds as well, you're also going further to say, should we consider getting these loans from domestic sources, or should we consider getting these loans from foreign sources as well? So that's basically what we're going to be covering under study unit 17, which looks at long-term financing. Now, please take note as well. For Fin4802, there are 3 study units. So there are 3 study units where the material that you're going to be utilizing for the 3 study units is not going to be coming from the textbook. So there are 3 study units, and the material for these 3 study units is not going to be coming from this textbook. There is additional readings that are available. And usually the lecturer makes those additional readings available through my UNISA, but we have already downloaded them, which means that we can also give you those additional readings as well. So the first additional reading in this case is the one that is the additional reading one, which looks at multinational cost of capital and capital structure. So which means when we go through study unit 16, you don't go through study unit 16 with chapters with the chapter in the textbook. Study unit 16, you specifically go through it through the additional reading one. So please take note of this, very, very important. Then the second study unit that is not going to be coming from the textbook is the multinational capital budgeting, which basically means as well that study unit 13, when you're going through study unit 13, you don't get that material from the textbook. You have to go through additional reading too. So when you're now going to cover study unit 13, take note that you're not going to be utilizing the material from the textbook. We are specifically utilizing material from additional reading too. Then from there is also the study unit on multinational restructuring. And remember, multinational restructuring in this case is study unit 14. So for study unit 14, you don't get that material, or you don't utilize the material from the textbook. You use additional reading 3. So when you get the additional reading 3, this is where you are now going to be able to use additional reading 3 to go through study unit 14 of the curriculum. So please take note of these 3 additional readings, which are replacing the material that is given in the textbook. So you don't use the chapters given in the textbook. You specifically utilize these 3 additional readings as well. Are we on the same page so far? Any questions? So please take note of these 3 additional readings, very, very important. Then from there, we also have study unit 18, and study unit 18 looks at financing international trade. To say, so all in all now, how do we consolidate everything so that we're able to look at what? Financing international trade. But remember, this is from short-term asset and liability management. So from a short-term perspective, how do you finance international trade from a short-term perspective? So you're now going to bring it short-term international trade and short-term financing as well. So these study units are very much interlinked to each other, mainly because they are looking at it now from a short-term perspective to say, how do you finance international trade from a short-term perspective, and how do you look at short-term finance? What are the different sources of what? Short-term financing as well. So study unit 18 and study unit 19, they are very much linked with each other. So now, once you create a user account on our website, what we're going to do is, for the month of March, without any obligation, we offer access to our website for free until the 31st of March. So with no obligation, we offer access to our website for free. You create a user account. I'll show you exactly how to do it. You create a user account. When you create a user account, you send me a direct message. And then when you send me the direct message, you indicate the email that you indicated on your user account, and then you indicate the modules that you want to be linked as well on our website. So that during the month of March, while you're busy doing your registration as well, you're able to start running, you're able to start studying as well, and you're able to cover that material. But please ensure that you officially register with us before the 31st of March. So for you to be able to officially register with us before the 31st of March, I'll send you an email with the registration form. All you need to do is just fill in the registration form and you send it back to us. Then you are officially registered with us as well. Now, during the month of March, remember I said we are giving free access as well. It basically means that the free access that I'm going to be giving to students, it covers topic 1. So the free access we're giving to students covers topic 1, which basically means that during the month of March, you are able to have access to study unit 1 and up to study unit 5 of the curriculum. So during the month of March until the 31st of March as well, you are able to access study unit 1 up to study unit 5 of the curriculum. But for you to be able to have continued access to this material, even study unit 6 all the way to 19 as well, please ensure that you register with us by the 31st of March. Then, and remember what I indicated as well, during the course of the year, at least a month or 3 weeks before the due date of the assignment, we are going to go through the assignment together. We're going to have a separate class where we are going to be having an online class where we go through the assignments. So a month or 3 weeks before the due date of the assignment, I'll also indicate that when I update the timetable as well, we are going to be going through assignment 1 on a separate class. Then before the due date of the second assignment as well, 3 weeks or a month before the due date of the second assignment, we are also going to go through assignment 2 together in class as well. So that's basically what I'm going to do. Then Sometime end of June or early July as well, we're going to have a class where we are going to be reviewing what you have covered in study unit 1 all the way to study unit 10. And during that particular class, I'll give you the floor to ask me questions on things that you still didn't understand when you're going through these study units, so that I cannot explain to you in detail, so that you're not lost. Over and above this as well, as you are going through the videos of the study units as well, if there's anything you find difficult, just send me a WhatsApp message and I'll respond or give you an explanation. If there's a need for me to call you, I'll call you and explain. If there's a need for me to set up an online meeting as well, I'll set up an online meeting if there's a need, depending on exactly how much information is needed and how lost you are with the explanation as well. So I do offer consultation during the course so that you're not completely in the dark. You are basically getting assistance as and when we go. So are there any questions regarding what to expect in the curriculum and how we're going to be approaching the assignments as well? Are there any questions? So we are going to be giving you assistance with the 2 assignments as well. Then from the month of November, December, January, and February, what we're going to do is we have created a database of videos going through the past question papers from 2017 until 2022. So the videos are there. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you access to those videos from the month of November onwards. You'll be able to have access to the videos. But over and above those videos, going through the question papers as well, we give you access to the question papers, and we'll also give you access to the memos of those question papers, so that ideally what we advise you to do, attempt the question paper, then after that, go through the video and the memo, so that you're able to see what you're doing wrong and what went wrong, so that you're able to correct yourself as well. Then what we're going to be committing to do with you in class as well is that during the classes that we're going to be having during the revision period, one class, there's a class that we're going to be going through the Jan-Feb 2023 paper with you, so that we're able to update our database. Then we'll also have another class as well, where we're going to be going through the May-June 2023 paper. Then over and above this as well, we're going to have another class where we're going to be going through assignment 1 and assignment 2 of the current year. Then on your revision database as well, there is videos where we go through assignments for the previous years. So there's also videos and answers and questions and answers as well, where we are looking at what the material or the assignments of the previous years. The videos are there, so you are going to be able to utilize those videos as well to go through the material as well. Which basically means that for the revision, that's basically how we are going to be covering the revision period as well. So from year 2022 going backwards, there is videos available going through the Jan-Feb and the May-June question papers. The question papers will be made available to you. The memos to the question papers as well will be made available to you during the revision period. Now, when it comes to our curriculum, or how we're going to go through the curriculum as well, if you check, I'll take you now to our timetable. So I will take you now, or I will take you now and go through the timetable with you. So you see that on the timetable that we're going to be going through, you will see that for Fin4802, there is going to be a class dedicated to go through assignment 1. And that the date of the class is going to be announced, but the time of the class is going to be 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. So we're going to be giving you the date. As soon as we know the date of when the assignment is going to be done will tell you exactly when the date would be. So remember, the date is going to be scheduled about 3 weeks to a month before the due date of the assignment. So on that particular date, between 1 to 5 p.m., we're going to be going through the assignment as well. Then sometime end of June or early July as well, we're going to be reviewing the first 10 study units of what? Of the curriculum for Fin4802. So sometime between end of June or early July, we are going to be dedicating a class where we're going to be going through the first 10 study units. So which means that if there's any question there between 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. on that particular date, we're going to be addressing any queries that you might have on things that you've come across in the first 10 study units. Then there's going to be another date, which is going to be announced as well, where we're going to be going through assignment 2. But my suspicion is, well, assignment 2, we're likely going to go through it sometime in July, because usually assignment 2 is due sometime in August. So which means 3 weeks or a month before the due date. But remember, these dates, once we have the due dates of the assignment sometime next week, you will know in advance exactly when is the class that are going to be going through assignment 1 and assignment 2 as well. Once we have the dates, we are going to update the information there so that you know exactly on this particular date, we're going to be having the class, and this is the time that we're going to be having the class going through assignment 1 and assignment 2 as well. Then there's also going to be another day sometime in October where we are going to be reviewing study unit 11 to study unit 19 of the curriculum. So it's going to be sometime in October where we are going to be reviewing study unit 11 to study unit 19 of the curriculum as well. And on that particular day as well, you'll see that the class is going to be between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. But remember, even as you're going through the material as well, if there's anything you find difficult, please don't hesitate to send me a WhatsApp message as well, so that I'm able to give you a guideline. So you're not totally on your own. If there's anything you find difficult, don't hesitate to contact me. Then I'll be able to find ways there to assist you as well. So during the revision period, as I said as well, we're going to be going through the Jan-Feb 2023 papers, and then we're going to be going through the May-June 2023 papers as well. And then over and above this as well, we're going to be reviewing the current year's assignments. So remember, when we review the current year's assignments, we're basically saying, once we have received the official memo for assignment 1 for this year, it means during the revision period, we are going to go through that assignment again with you, so that we're able to now check to see exactly why is this answer the way it is according to the lecturer's memo. So during the revision period, we're going to have a class where we're going to be reviewing assignment 1 and assignment 2 of 2023 as well. Then during the revision period as well, we're also going to be having a discussion class where we're now going to be consolidating everything that you've learned to say, as you are going through the curriculum as well, is there anything that you still find difficult? If there is, we're going to be dedicating time during the discussion class where we're going to be addressing anything, so that we're able not to polish up on anything that you find difficult as well. And please take note as well, over and above this as well, if there's anything you find difficult or you're struggling with when you're doing revision as well, don't hesitate to contact me. I'll be available to assist as well. So is there any questions regarding the schedule? So once we know the due dates of assignment 1 and assignment 2, you'll see that everything else or all other dates are going to be built up upon us knowing the due dates of assignment 1 and assignment 2. So which means that instead of indicating to be announced there, once we know the due dates of assignment 1 and assignment 2, you will definitely know now that, okay, on this particular day, this is what we're going to be doing until throughout the year. Any questions? Then what I also need to indicate to you or show you as well is how to access the material on the website. So to access the material on the website, if you click on student login, so if you click on student login, you will see that if you click on student login, you will see that if you don't have a user account as yet on our website, you need to click on under the section register, where you indicate your email address, you indicate your username, and you indicate your preferred password there. So you indicate your user, you indicate this, then you click on register. Then it basically means that we are going to be able to link you to the modules that you want to have access to. Then after this, it means in future, you are just going to click on login. So in future, after you've indicated your user account as well, in future, you indicate you click on you indicate your username or email, and then you indicate your password. Then you click on login. Then you are able to access that material as well as you go in future. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to demonstrate to you exactly how you are going to be able to access this material as well in future on our website as well. So once you log in, now that you have the user account, so once that you have a user account created and you log in there, you will see that it will now indicate to you on this page, which shows you how many courses you are enrolled for, how many courses are still active, and how many courses have you completed as well. Then from there, you are now going to be able to, okay, I'll just wait for a bit. You are now going to be able to, it will show you the courses that you are registered for. Then if it's Fin4802, you are going to click on Fin4802. Then when you click on Fin4802 and you scroll down there, the first tab that it shows you is the overview, to show you exactly what is basically what is the material that you're going to be expecting to go through for that particular module. Then if you click on the curriculum, it will now show you the first things that you're going to be seeing after you click on curriculum is the tabs for you to be able to watch the videos for the first 19 study units. Like for example, in this case, the first tab that you're going to be seeing there is basically the video for study unit 1. And these videos, the video that was recorded in 2021 is written 2021. The video that was recorded in 2022 is written 2022. So you can choose whether you want to watch the video for 2021 or the latest video for 2022. Then when you click on show more sections, it will now show you tabs for other material going downwards. So you're basically going downwards, going through the different tabs of the material. So you see that here it's showing you tabs for study unit 2, then it's showing you tabs for study unit 3 and study unit 4, and as you go on as well. Then when you keep scrolling down, it's now showing you the different videos for the different study units as well. So you need to keep on clicking show more sections so that it shows you more material of the videos that you want to be able to go through during as you go through the different study units as well. So you see that the first tabs you're going to find there is basically the videos covering study unit 1 all the way to study unit 19. So these are the videos that you're going to be seeing there. So the moment you click on curriculum, once you're logged in, the first thing that you're going to be seeing there is the tabs for the study units 1 to 19 of the curriculum. Then, if you want to be able to download the textbook, you can click on this tab, like what I do here. If you click on this particular tab, it will give you a link to the Google Drive. Then if you click on this link to the Google Drive, you will see that it's now giving you that you are able to download these textbooks as well via our website. And these textbooks, they are highlighted with a bit of notes on them as well. So you will be able to access these textbooks on our website so that you're able to use this textbook to study as well. Then over and above that as well, when you click on back, when you click back, it's going to take you back to the different tabs that you've already opened as well. And when you click on show more sections there, it's going to show you more material that you're going to be able to access for the module as well. Then if you want to be able to access revision material, so for revision material, this is where we're looking at accessing the past question papers and also the memos to those question papers as well. So you see that under revision material, you see that there's you are able to access the additional readings as well. You are able to access the homework questions. You are able to access the official questions and answers from for the different years of the module. You are able to access the past papers as well for the module. And you're also able to access the memos to the past papers as well for the modules. So this is basically where you're able to access this material for revision as well. Then if you go backwards, it takes you back to the different tabs for the module. Then when you go backwards there, remember we said that it takes you back to the different tabs for the module as well. Then after this now, you are going to be able to access the videos going through the material as well. So there's videos for practice questions. Then there's also going to be videos for assignments as well for 2017. And then you are also able to access videos for the Jan-Feb 2017 class, where we go through the 2017 class. Then you're also able to access the videos for the May-June 2017 class as well. So you are going to be able to access these videos under these tabs as well. Then you will see that you're also able to access the videos for the 2018 material. Then you're also able to access the videos for the 2019 material as well. And you're also able to access the videos for the 2020 material. That is the Jan-Feb and the May-June 2020 material. And you can, when you keep on clicking show more sections, it basically means that you are going to be able to access the more material going over the years from 2017 all the way to 2022 as well. And as you can see here, you're able to access the Jan-Feb and the May-June videos for the assignments and the question papers as well for the Jan-Feb and May-June for the 2021 all the way to 2022. And remember, once we have done the material for 2023 as well, you will be able to access the assignments here. When we do the videos for the assignments, you will be able to access the assignments for the 2023 years. And you will be able to, once we go through the revision period as well, once we post the video for the Jan-Feb 2023 paper, you will be able to access it here. And the May-June 2023 paper, once we do it in class as well, and we post the video, you will be able to access that material here as well. So that's basically how you're able to access the different material that is offered for this particular module as well. So are there any questions on how to access the material that is being offered on the website? Are there any questions? Now, when it comes to the different packages that we offer for the module, so when it comes to the different packages that we offer for the module, you will see that the different packages that are offered, if you, on the website, if you check on the main website there, to see the different packages that we offer for this particular module, if you go to postgraduate courses, and then you go to Fin4802, then you go to Fin4802, you will see that there are different packages that we offer there. With the premium package, so the total fee for this particular module is 1,500. So this is the fee that you pay to get access to all this material between now until you write your exam. So to get access to the material, to be able to attend the online classes during the scheduled period as well, you pay 1,500. So with the premium package, if you pay the full fee upfront of 1,500, it basically means that you are able to access everything on our database immediately. You are able to access the videos going through the chapters. You're able to access the videos going through the revision, where we go to the past papers. You're able to access the question papers and the memos as well. You're basically able to access everything on our database immediately if you pay the full fee upfront. Then you can break down this fee into a monthly installments over a 10-month period. So if you break down this fee into a monthly installment over a 10-month period as well, it basically means that you'll be paying 150 rand per month. So if you pay 150 rand per month, it basically means that we're going to be giving you the access to the videos as and when we go. Then we're also going to be able to give you access to the online classes. You're going to be able to attend the online classes as well. And then we're also going to be in October, that's when we're going to be able to give you access to the revision material as well as and when we go. If you're going to be paying 150 rand for the next 10-month period, so that you're able to make up the 1,500 fee that is given. So the next three packages, the rhodium package, platinum package, and the bronze package, they are basically meant for students. We don't make it available now. They are meant for the revision period. So during the revision period, if you're basically saying that I want to be able to, I have not understood the study units, but I also want to be able to attend the online classes and also be able to access the revision material as well. The package for you would be the rhodium package. Then, if you want to just attend the online classes and access the revision material for this module only, so which means that the only thing that you are going to be interested in during the revision period, which is November, you just want to be able to access the revision material and attend the revision classes, then your package would be the platinum package. And then with the bronze package, you're basically saying that you want to be able to access the revision material, but you want to work on it on your own. And then that's when you choose what? The bronze package. But remember that when it comes to these different packages, so with the bronze package, these revision packages, they are only opened up and made available from November onwards, because they are meant for the revision period. So which means if you want to be able to access the material going through the different study units as well, your options would be the premium package or the diamond package as well. So these are the different packages that we offer. Is there any question regarding the different packages that we offer? Any questions? So this is what we needed to cover during the session for today. So during the session today, what we needed to cover is just for you to be able to know exactly what do you expect, where do you get your material, and how do you get your material. So that's basically what we need to cover. So as your homework, please go to the website. I'll also send you the link to the website as well. Go to the website, click on register so that you're able to create a user account. Then when you create a user account as well, send me a direct WhatsApp message. And on the WhatsApp message, indicate to me which module, what your email address is, and which modules you want to ask what to link you as well. And also, please ensure that between now until the end, between now until the 31st of March, you officially register with us. And to officially register with us, we send you the registration form via email. Then you fill in the registration form and you send it back to us. Then we are going to be able to officially register with you, so that register with us so that you're able, because if you're not going to be officially registered with us by the 1st of April, it means your access is going to be cut off, because during the month of March, that's when we make what? We make access to our website for free. Then after the month of March, it basically means that your access is going to be restricted as well. Are there any questions? Are there any questions?
Just one question. Just one question. Can you hear me? Sorry. Just on with the textbooks. So if you sign up on the premium, I see there's obviously those PDF versions of the textbooks. Can you view them via the web browser or
you are able to download them? You are able to download them.
Yeah. Okay. And that is included in your 1,500 Rand premium package.
Remember, these textbooks, even if you register now online on our website, we give them for free. So even if you access that material online now, before you even make a payment, you are able to download those textbooks. Those textbooks, you are able to download them even now.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't help unless you got a lecturer to help you get through them, but thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ranas.
All right. And remember, if you are able to create a user account now, you are able to get access to the first topic. Remember, the first topic is the first 5 study units. So which means that you'll be able to have now the soft copy of the textbook, and you'll be able to go through the textbook again using the guideline of what of the videos, where immediately now when you register or when you create a user account on our website, you are going to be able to access the videos going through the first 5 study units. But please ensure that you're able to officially register with us before the end of March, because after the end of March, if you're not officially registered with us, we block your access. Then if you are officially registered with us, that's when we're going to be able to open up videos for the other study units as well. And remember, during the course of the week next week, we are going to be able to know exactly when the assignments are going to be due for assignment 1 and assignment 2. Once we know that, we are going to be able to update our timetable so that you know that between now until end of October, when we're supposed to be done with the curriculum, this is when we're supposed to be meeting, and we're going to be meeting on this particular date from this time to that time as well. We should be knowing that by before the end of the week as well, so that you know on this particular day, this is what we're going to be doing, and we're going to be meeting on this particular day and at this particular time. So between this time and that time, this is what we're going to be covering on those particular days as well. But please ensure that even on the groups that I'm going to be communicating with you, try as much as possible to go through these videos, because remember, there's no point for you to wait until end of June. Then you have not gone through the videos, because when we go through these classes, we are basically assuming that you've gone through the videos, you've gone through the chapters, and then we're addressing those problems that you might be having. So because of the way that we offer this module as well, that's why you see that the pricing of our module is very different from the other modules that we offer as well for risk as well, because we are basically acknowledging that, yes, we're meeting you as and when, and because of that, we have drastically reduced our prices as well, so that it makes more sense to you as well. And at the same time, which basically means that you need to be able to access these videos and utilize these videos, so that if there's anything you find difficult, highlight it. If you are not, which basically means that if you can still wait until end of June to ask questions on things that you find difficult, but I would encourage you to send me a WhatsApp message. I will be able to address anything that you find difficult there. But please ensure that you ask questions before. You make sure that you go through the video first, then you can be able to, if you are still lost on a particular concept, then you can ask the questions. Yes, I see that there's a hand raised there. Yes, is the question?
Yes, it's a question. Hi. My question is, I saw when you showed us the timetable, you said the classes would be like from 1 until 5. What happens if you have another engagement during the class? Will the class be recorded, or what would happen?
All our sessions are recorded. So all our sessions are recorded, which means that we're going to be creating a tab or a folder on those tabs that you're going to be accessing. We're going to be creating a folder which shows you exactly, this is the class that we did to review the first 8 chapters or first 10 chapters, and this is the first class that we did. So which means all our sessions are recorded, which means after every session, even now, the class that I'm going to be doing today, right? By end of day on Monday, it will be made available to you. So any class that we're going to be having, immediately the Monday following that particular class as well, we make that video available to you via the website. We always make sure that it's made available, so that if there's something you didn't understand during the class, or you missed the class because of some other commitment as well, you are able to catch up as well.
Okay, thank you.
So even the videos, even the classes that are going to be going through where we are going to be going through the different assignments as well. Even if you miss that class, we'll make sure that immediately the Monday following the class, we post that particular video and you're able to access that video as well, so that you're able to catch up. Then remember as well that when it comes to the assignments, over and above accessing the video, what we're also going to do is that on that particular Monday following the class, we remember we're going to post the video. Then what we'll also do is that we post the Word document of the template of the memo. So we'll also post and make available as well the Word document of the template of the memo, so that you can also use it as a guideline when you're preparing your answers to the assignment as well. Are there any other questions? All right, if there are no questions, enjoy the rest of your weekend. I see that my electricity is not back as yet, so I'll need to conserve my energy for the next class as well. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. Remember, your homework is create a user account, send me a direct message on WhatsApp indicating your email and the modules that you want to be linked as well. So, because even if you just create the user account, I wouldn't know for which modules you want to be linked as well. So create the user account, then you send me a direct message on WhatsApp where you indicate your email and the modules that you want us to link you as well. All right, enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you very much.